What's up, fight fans? This is Sparta Media Group Studios, this is Big Mo, and this is your Sparta Combat Report. In case it wasn't clear enough already, the state of Colorado knows how to produce an MMA fighter. Since the UFC started headlining shows back in May, multiple Colorado athletes have been featured. None more important or none more prominent than Justin the Highlight Gaethje. Justin Gaethje competed against Tony Ferguson, filling in for Khabib Nurmagomedov for the interim lightweight championship and won. And now he is the UFC interim lightweight champion. And it's very clear and it's very obvious at this point that the fight to make is Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Another Colorado fighter that's getting a lot of attention is Drew Dober. Drew is currently the number 15th ranked lightweight in the UFC, and he's coming off a big win against Alexander Hernandez where he knocked him out on May 13th. Now, it's kind of interesting where Drew fits into this picture. I believe the next best thing for him to do is to face Islam Makhachev and try to crack the top 10 in the lightweight rankings. Obviously, congrats to Drew. He's a great friend of Sparta, does a lot of work with us on the commentary analysis end, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next in his career. Another fighter that trains out of the state of Colorado is Alistair Overeem, who's coming off a big win where he was the main event against Walt Harris on May 16th. Now, Alistair is in a tough spot. He's obviously trying to climb back the rankings of the heavyweight division. Before he faced Mr. Harris, he had lost to Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and I believe that is the fight that makes the most sense, is to get that rematch going. The top of the heavyweight pyramid, it's pretty clear what's going to happen, either whether it be Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic, you got Francis Ngannou in the mix, but that bottom half of the top 10, the Alistair Overeems, the Jairzinho Rozenstruiks, the Walt Harrises, they're going to have a lot of fights amongst each other to determine who cracks that top 5. I believe that Alistair Overeem's experience, his technical skills, and now that the fact that he has another win under his belt, he's got a lot of momentum going right now, and I'm excited to see how he represents the state of Colorado next time up. This last weekend was UFC 250, and yet again we had multiple Colorado MMA fighters on the card. First up was Heinisch. Now, Ian is coming off of a tough loss, but he was faced Gerald Meerschaert. Now, at first, we weren't sure if this fight was going to happen, and ended up happening. And for Heinisch, it's a good thing because he looked absolutely fantastic. He destroyed Mr. Meerschaert. He landed a massive overhand in the first round and ended up finishing the fight pretty quickly. He's currently the number 13 ranked middleweight in the UFC, and the personal fight that I want to see next is Heinisch versus the number 10 ranked Uriah Hall. Now, the reason why is those are two very, very separate and different styles. I think that it would make for an exciting bout, and I think that whoever wins that fight would have a lot of momentum going forward and ultimately would try to crack the top 5 of the middleweight rankings. Neil Magny is another Colorado fighter that was represented on the UFC 250 card where he defeated Anthony Rocco Martin. Neil Magny took a little bit of a hiatus after 2018, but currently he is on a 2-fight win streak. The last Colorado fighter that was featured on the UFC 250 card was Cory Sandhagen, where he faced off against Aljamain Sterling in a fight that a lot of people, including myself, pegged what actually should have been the Bantamweight Championship fight. After his last fight, as you know, Henry Cejudo retired, thus vacating the Bantamweight Championship. A lot of people said that Sandhagen versus Sterling made sense to be that fight. It now sounds like that Jose Aldo versus Peter Yan is going to be that fight. But regardless, last night, great fight. Unfortunately for Mr. Sandhagen, he took a loss to Aljamain Sterling last night. Aljamain likely will face the winner of Jose Aldo versus Peter Yan. But this goes to show that the bantamweight division easily is the most complex in the UFC at this point. You have Jose Aldo versus Peter Yan, which is likely going to be for the title. You still have people like Marlon Moraes, who is technically the number 1 ranked bantamweight. And then you have people like Cory Sandhagen, who by no means is out of it. Yes, he took a loss, but he took a loss to the guy that a lot of people is going to be the champion soon. So Cory's still in it. Then you have Cody Garbrandt, who returned last night and looked as good as he did back when he was in the title contention. So I'm excited for Mr. Garbrandt to be back. I personally want to see Cory Sandhagen versus Cody Garbrandt next. Book that next. The bantamweight division is very interesting, and I look forward to seeing Cory climb back up and eventually be the champion. I know that the state of Colorado, including myself, including Sparta, is behind Mr. Sandhagen. Obviously, he's a great supporter of all combat sports in Colorado, huge supporter of Sparta. I'm excited to see him have the belt around his waist very, very soon. Now, our last segment on Combat Report actually isn't UFC related. It's Sparta related because, well, we're back. The weekend of July 11th, Sparta Sports Entertainment and Airtight Boxing is back, live, from Cheyenne, Wyoming. All your favorite local fighters are going to be there. I'm going to be there. We got the broadcast team. We got the people behind the camera. We got the whole Sparta and Airtight team is back the weekend of July 11th. Put it in your calendars right now. You're not going to want to miss it. And I'll see you there. But for Sparta Media Group Studios, for Sparta Sports and Entertainment, I'm Big Mo, and this has been your Combat Report.